everybody's here. It's 5 o'clock. So if everybody will rise, and we'll say the Pledge of Allegiance and get started for our first meeting. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Happy 2022, everyone. It doesn't seem like it's January, but here we are, the first meeting of the year, and I thank everyone that's here in attendance this evening. So the first item on this evening's agenda is to look at, and I hope everyone has reviewed your December 14th, 2021 minutes. And if you have done so, are there any corrections or errors that need to be addressed? Okay, do we have a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve that.
Chris and Ray seconds. All in favor with the same motion? So carried. I will send this around for signatures.
I'll show you sign both of them.
Yes. Oh, yes. And this one is for the Commissioners and Council meeting that occurred on 12/21, so that will also come around, and I'll pass it to my left first. Now that we have that piece of business, the next one on the agenda is to appoint 2022's new Vice President, and so do we have, and President, so let's go ahead and address the Vice President, if we want to go ahead and do that first. And so do we have a nomination on the floor for Vice President?
I nominate Judy.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Okay. So 2022's Vice President is Judy Smith. And then we need to appoint a new president for 2022. And do we have a motion on the floor for a new 2022 president?
I move that it was Ray Denning to
Okay.
nominate for president.
Anyone else? Any other motions on the floor? Ray Denning.
Okay. I'll second Judy's nomination.
Okay. Anyone else? And, oh, we need to vote on that, I'm sorry. Okay. All right. So moved.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, council. Okay, I guess we'll move on then. Next up is Tammy Morrell, Health Department. She's not here.
Tammy is not going to be able to be here. Her
She got a
child was quarantined. So, she was basically coming to discuss the transfers and additionals that she submitted, which she said I can call her if anyone wants to talk to her about it. But basically the state approves her line items after our budget process. So it's just moving the money around.
Where it's supposed to go, really.
Right.
Yeah.
So the other thing that she had that maybe a commissioner was going to discuss, but I do not see one, was she had a quote for windows, and that was for $64,329.48. That was for the south side windows. We replaced all the north side windows, so it's just the next series of windows to do. She already received quotes last year. This is the same company that did the north side. And
the volatility in the market and all the prices being up, I'd really appreciate 2 more quotes on that.
I was saying, I noticed they were from VV. I thought, my gosh, Glass Unlimited is a stone throw from the health department. I just wondered if we got 2 other quotes.
So last time they received, when they started the project last year, they got quotes and they were the cheapest by far. So that's why she thought she could just go ahead and
But I
submit
thought
that.
at one of the commissioners meeting, they said that she did bring 3 quotes in, and this was the quote that they...
3 quotes when the project started.
Okay.
And then whenever she got ready for the next side, she just went to the same
Same company.
company. Which even those windows, there was an influx in price, about $300 per window, compared to, she was expecting a lot more since everything's happened.
300 more for the window?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Well, the windows, so the windows are for the brick and they have
Have
the
to be-
large
they have to be
and
that-
block.
Oh,
They
yeah,
have to be
they're big
tops.
windows.
And that's why they're
the
so
problem is.
expensive.
Yeah, I read the description.
But that can be discussed later.
It requires most.
It requires.
Requires,
It requires
requires
three foot
the
cover.
new ones, uh-huh.
Okay, I will let her know.
Phoebe, maybe missed.
Yeah, and I
Sounds
didn't even
good.
think that, obviously, even then, but their installation fee didn't even seem outlandish. I just thought the same thing, is this, we're not get a second, third quote. And I think she can provide those. Just want to dot our i's and cross our t's to make it smart.
Do you guys want me to go ahead and advertise this amount, since at worst case it would be lower than this
That'd be fun.
for next month, so that she can move forward?
Yes.
Okay.
And before additionals, Sheriff Thomas is here.
Yeah, good evening. I've handed out 2 sheets of paper here. One is the 2021 recap of our entire year. Incidents or arrests, jail activity log, those types of things. It shows all the different, probably the biggest thing to look at in this year, aside from being overcrowded all year long. Total transports for the year was 489, for a total of 57,350 miles, and it cost just over $70,000. Just to let you know what that is. The other is a cell block count as of today, and it just basically shows you where everybody's spread out in the jail. And that's it. The one thing I would ask is, in our budget last year, we put in for 15 jail staff, and in the budget, it only calls for 14. And I just wanted to come before you and tell you that the loss of one jail officer is pretty difficult on us. Because actually we're really, by state jail standards, by the ISA, shows that we should be running about 20. And just an update, I'm in the middle of putting all that information together. You asked for the operating costs of the new jail and the staffing numbers for the new jail. I'm just waiting for Bill Wilson, was the Sheriff's Association, to get back. He should have that report. So your next meeting, I should have all that for you. So that's really all I have. Do you have any questions?
Chris, did we not go back because, or Ray, to that, since they were reclassified, that we had like the 2 for the field room, because I've got several here we had they were zeros, absolutely zeros, and then in other words, you reclassified what they were called.
Just what
And
they were
I think
called.
that's the reason that the jail thing, we went down on those, so that, because it came back to the same amount of people.
Yeah,
Right.
it's the same overall staff.
Same
number.
overall staff is what we thought, yeah.
For several years, we've been increasing jailers, what we thought were jailers, and then come to
That's
find
what
out.
that's what I've been trying to straighten out over the last 3 years.
I mean, we were under the assumption we had 20 jailers, and then we find out we only have 12.
That's why I brought before you guys, trying to reallocate where those are going, so you knew for sure what numbers you have.
See, some of the jailers are listed now as courthouse security rather than jailers.
2 in courthouse security, 2 in transport. I think basically, 2 years ago we made an adjustment. This last adjustment, I think that's how it was determined. So I would just ask that you maybe consider giving us one more. It's going to be difficult.
Well, no, I mean, we've given you 8 jailers over the last 6 years, and you put them in other places.
All right. I haven't in the last 6 years, but,
Well,
yeah.
somebody has.
Ray, that's what I'm trying to explain to you, that's what I'm trying to straighten out. So, all I can do is ask, you guys talk amongst yourselves, decide what you're gonna do. I'm just bringing it to your attention. All right, trying to get everything in alignment there, that's what it's about, so. You know, if it's not, we'll adapt. Any other questions?
I just want to thank you for this report, very
Well,
self-explanatory.
hopefully, I don't know if we would do that daily, it might get a little boring as opposed to me coming out, but it does show you where everybody's at. I might, looking at it, I might go back and have him explain, because everybody in the jail has a category, and it goes by cell block. So it might be to your attention that like cell block H is women. You know, cell block B is sex offenders. Because as they get classified, that's how we group them, according to what DOC suggests.
I had a question, the 70,000, is that mainly gas? Is that mainly fuel, because you said the miles?
Well, some of it.
Is that, do we have to spend, they have to spend the night as they're traveling, because they're going several
Right.
states over, or whatever?
Well, we've been as far as California.
Wow.
We've been to New York twice in the last 3 weeks. So,
Okay.
Remind me the warrant served, what first caught my number was the court security division. And I thought, that's only about 7 a month. I was thinking we served additional warrants. And then I realized that they actually were split by the transports division and the court security division. 89 warrants, and obviously warrants served for the transport division, 105. Remind me the designation there.
as people come in to the courthouse, my staff in the courthouse tries to remember, keeps a list of who are all wanted on warrants, and we'll check with court cases, and we'll look for them when they come to court, and we'll arrest them when they get in the courthouse.
Obviously, okay. And the transport division, obviously, they're...
As Judge Good could say, they'll go before him, and he'll pull somebody aside and say, I know he's
aware
wanted.
you have an outstanding warrant.
You have an outstanding warrant, you know that.
So,
And the transports division, those are obviously out and about warrants that are served.
well, most of the transports are actually they're transporting from one location back to the courthouse and back, or it's where people are picked up on warrants in, say, California. We've been to California last year, Texas, Florida multiple times, South Carolina, New York. I mean, it's all over the place. So, and we have to go pick them up and bring them back to go before the judge. I'm sorry?
So I know you're definitely busy.
Yeah, they run a lot. We run a lot of miles, so.
Thank you.
But yes, your designation would be they get arrested on a warrant by another agency and then call us to come get them, and we bring them back. And unfortunately, most of those are FTAs, so judges, they want them back. 'Cause obviously, they're not going to show up in court unless we go get them and force them to go before them in person. Well, force isn't a good word, but deliver them.
Encourage them.
Ever so gently.
I try.
And shuffles.
Anything else, folks?
Thank you for the recap.
Yeah.
Gosh,
Yeah.
that's
That's
really
good.
nice.
That's
Yes.
good.
Yeah, it's a lot of, and as I was talking to Blaine out here in the hallway, really, I mean, our numbers are high, but probably 98, 99% of the people that are in our jail, you want them in our jail. So,
And I don't think that's a bad thing for the community. I think sometimes criticism is, the average person thinks we're keeping people that, minor offenses, it was just pot. I mean, everything, I know, even I, just as a citizen, somebody representing the county here, it seems like the average person out there doesn't realize Yeah, these are bad dudes. They're there for a reason.
Well, yeah, that's what we were talking about. There are some bad people in that jail.
Yeah.
A lot.
Hey, can I ask one question? And
I hope I
I
can
don't-
answer it.
I don't like to micro at all, but, because it's your deal, but I'm just inquiring mind wants to know, per inmate checks, is that each time you go in and check on them?
Yes.
Wow.
It
So
was
this is only half a year tracking, so you
Yes.
just started tracking
Yeah, we
now?
found out from an inmate
Mhm.
that there's a statute that says that we have to check the population every 60 minutes.
Oh.
So we've actually gone in and set up those security checks that businesses will put in when their security people go around. So we can show on paper that we are actually monitoring them every 60 minutes. You know, because you know if an inmate's going to bring it up, a lawsuit's going to follow.
Mhm.
So we started doing that mid-year, and that's the number we've come up with so far.
Wow.
You say on paper, are they doing a check sheet, or do they have an actual
Wow.
electronic check in?
They have an electronic check. They just
That's
walk,
good.
wave the wand
Perfect.
at each cell block.
Yeah, that's good. I think you said something about that in the past,
Mhm.
like the
Yeah.
wand where it checks.
Yes. Yeah, I think I said something when we had to put them in,
Uh-huh.
so.
I was concerned when you said on paper, so I wasn't.
No, no, there's very little,
Recorded.
other than
Yeah.
printouts, there's very little on paper
Good.
anymore,
Yeah.
so.
All right, that was, because I saw that number, I was like, that's only half a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
a lot.
A lot of checks. All right, folks, have a
Thank
good
you.
evening.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Judge, good?
Well, I thought that you all might want to know about how the first year went in Superior, and I think it went really well. Started out with a huge backlog, which there's been a big running backlog in that court for quite some time. We are at the lowest, I believe, that we have been in probably 10 years. I was able to go back as far as 2014 and looking at the I-Corps numbers that Court Services keeps, and we are, well, on December 31st, we were at 1,005 pending cases, and that is 39% lower than the average of 2014 through 2020, and that comes out to we closed an average of 630 cases more in 21 than the average of those other years combined. So that's really moving the cases through. And, you know, I really want to, I came in and I changed up a lot of things. I put in some accountability measures for the attorneys, for the court itself. And I really appreciate the prosecutors and the public defenders, because most of our criminal cases run through the public defender office. And they really, you know, it took a month or so for them to kind of get used to the new scheme, but once they got used to it, things started moving smoothly, so everything's going well. I look for this year to be even smoother. I know that I talked with you at the budget hearings about the early case resolution program that I wanted to implement, and we got it kicked off at the beginning of the year. And you know, time will tell on what that program will do as far as getting our case numbers down, getting the jail population down, at least the Superior Court cases. Circuit Court, the types of cases in circuit are not, they're not the types of cases that you can use this early case resolution program for, just because they're mostly extremely high level violent felonies, sex offenses, things of that nature. Our civil docket, we had a tremendous backlog in civil cases, primarily due to COVID and the evictions particularly. The state and the CDC itself federally kind of shut down all evictions, in about March of 2020. And so we had all these evictions being filed. The court couldn't do anything about those. We were able to start doing eviction hearings, and we have got that cleared up. We are back down to, if someone files an eviction, we get it on the court calendar for a trial within 10 days. And so the landlords who were really suffering throughout 2020 are getting a lot of relief. The rest of our civil docket is caught up. There's always cases pending, especially in family court cases. Those seem to never go away. But things are not being delayed, so we're doing well in that area as well. The early case resolution program, in looking at the numbers from other courts that have used that, it's taken an average resolution time down from 182 days down to 38 days. My goal in the first year of this is to get that resolution time down to about 60 days. And I think that that would really help us out. We're still battling through some older cases, some back 2016, 2017 cases where the people are out of custody and they just never get priority. I'm hoping that even some of those cases will be able to be resolved through this program and we can get those off the books. Mental health evaluations, I know that Judge Moat and I both had to come back for additional appropriations last year because of those, because of the number of evaluations that we were required to order. And I know I mentioned it to you at the time that I came back for the appropriation that there are two statutes, one for comprehension to stand trial and the other is for sanity. And we are required to appoint 2 or 3 mental health experts to evaluate. And the lowest I've been able to get those done, one particular doctor charges generally $1,000 and she is half price of what most of the other doctors are. So we're looking at a tremendous amount of money. I spent a little over $21,000 for evaluations last year. Judge Moat was a little bit higher, but still within the $21,000 range. All told, we spent $42,854.18. In digging into the statutes, I noticed that in the competency statute, there's some language that the legislature put in back in, I believe it was 2004, and that would have been about the time that Division of Mental Health was restructured, that said, and I'll quote this for you, it talks about the court shall appoint 2 or 3 competent, disinterested psychiatrists, psychologists endorsed by the Indiana State Board of Examiners in psychology as health service providers, and it goes on, it says, however, none may be an employee or a contractor of a state institution. And I think that that got put in when they restructured. It's not in the sanity, and this statute's been on the books since '81, and it never had that language in it until '04. So I spoke with Judge Moat and came up with a plan, and we're going to petition our state legislators to amend the statute, and here's the letter that I intend on getting out, to amend the statute, because we're in a little bit different situation than most of the counties in that we have Madison State Hospital in our backyard. And so what the proposal is that they amend these statutes so that we can appoint those doctors at Madison State Hospital to do these evaluations at no additional cost to Jefferson County. And there's a statute that's been on the books for years about when a county has a state hospital within its borders, if there's a certain number of patients there, then the county gets a state-paid deputy prosecutor. And I think it's 350 patients. Madison State Hospital has a little less than half of that. They average about 114 patients daily. So we have a hospital here, but we're getting zero benefit from it. And so that's really the pitch to the legislators is we should be getting some benefit. This would be a much cheaper benefit to us to have them do these evaluations for us. The sheriff would be required to transport them up to the state hospital, which I don't think would be a big deal at all. But it would save us a lot of money, not be a lot of extra work for the doctors there, since we only run about 20, 25 of these a year. So that's the proposal. I wanted to let you know what we had in mind, and if any of you have any things that you think we should add to that, I'd be happy to talk about that.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, I don't know if we can get it done, but if you don't ask, you're definitely not. And I know that there's been accommodations made for other counties within statutes where there's exceptions written in, and so I hope that we can get that done here. But all in all, I think that 2021 for Superior Court was very successful. We are actually we've gotten our caseload down enough that that the staff is not having to work a lot of overtime, and we're actually able to let them burn a little bit of their comp time that they've built up over the years. So hopefully that will continue. So any questions?
Just curious regarding the transport for the psychiatric evaluation at the state hospital. Any communication yet with their staff?
No. It would have
May
to,
not be thrilled with the idea, but
well,
like
they
I said,
probably
there's
won't
nothing.
be, and it will ultimately, I'm certain, be a decision made by the director of the Department of Mental Health, along with the legislators. There will probably, if it actually gets put into a bill, I'm sure that there will be, some testimony about why they don't want to do that. What's funny is I'm pretty sure that their argument will be, well, because they're a state contractor, they're not a disinterested party. But if someone is found to be incompetent by the court, then by statute, we're required to commit them to the Department of Mental Health. And their doctors are the ones who ultimately determine whether or not they're competent. And so the argument that they're not disinterested really doesn't work because they have the last say. So, but no, I haven't talked to anybody about it. I want to see if it'll even get off the ground first. So if I just call Madison State Hospital, they're going to say no.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Is this something that the council needs to, with a letter or anything to get on board with you, or?
Sure. I think that would be great. I wanted to copy all of you on it. I also want to copy the commissioners on it, but just so that they would know, what Judge Moat and I had in store. But ultimately, I'm hoping that it'll save us, quite a bit of money. And I know it's not a large amount of money considering, the entire county budget, but as far as our court budgets, it's a significant amount.
Other state hospitals do this in the state?
Do it this way?
Mm-hmm.
Not that I've seen.
Not seen.
But you look at where the other state hospitals are located, they're primarily larger jurisdictions. And so like up in Allen County, if they did an exception there, it would flood them probably with evaluations. Here, that wouldn't happen.
But they put that caveat in there with the patient load, or, you know, how many people they serve.
I guess
Didn't you say that, how many, are in their, number that they serve is 350, but they're only providing service to 150?
if our hospital had, I believe it's 350,
Mm-hmm.
then our county could get a state-paid deputy prosecutor.
Oh, okay.
But we're at an average of 114 daily, so
Okay.
we're, you know, a little bit below half of that. So we're not gonna get a prosecutor, but we should get some benefit.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And this is what, you know, my argument is
Right.
that this should be the benefit. So,
And you're talking, like you said, you're averaging 2 dozen, I mean, it's a couple a month,
Yeah.
that's not, and I wouldn't feel we're asking for too much.
no, and in looking at the billing, most of the people are putting in, the doctors that is, are putting in 3 or 4 hours into their evaluations, and a lot of times drive time is a big chunk of that. And so the least expensive one that we have is a IUS professor who is also a clinician. And I contacted her right at the first of the year and asked her if she was able to do those and would be willing, and she was. And so thankfully she saved us some money, but generally it's anywhere from $1,500 to $2,200 per doctor, so it gets expensive quick. And with the meth problem that we have here, that goes hand in hand with mental health issues, and so I don't see our evaluations going down.
Right.
So anyway, I just wanted to share with everybody and
Thank you.
Thank you.
wish
Good
you all
job.
a new year.
Thank you.
Yes, Happy New Year.
Thank you for thinking outside the box.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hey, I've got one of these for you. I'll just pass it off. And you can just take a look at that. Judge Love and I are going to try to get that moving. All right, well, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Judge.
Well, Dave, I guess you're up.
So I'm not here to actually give you a heads up on what I am going to ask for. I'm not going to ask for it today, but I'm just trying to make sure of course it's money, but where we get the money from. So first thing is for contract IT services. So there's $100,000 in there now. We have a proposal, and I'm trying to figure out if we didn't really ask for the proposal, so I don't know if we need to put out requests for proposals and get those and have others. We may see if we can do more of a short term with this particular contractor, so we're covered for the immediate time, and then pick up later. Anyway, their proposal is $7,500 a month for IT services. I have no idea if that's good or bad without seeing other ones. So that's, that would be $90,000, and there's $100,000 in the fund right now, so that would cover it, but then there's also Andrew's time in there as well. So if that is low, and hopefully I'll find out from our attorney if I have to get an RFP or not, we'll know. But so I may be back for like $25,000 in contract IT services. This is in Cume Courthouse, sorry. Second one is windows for the health department.
I already talked about that.
You did?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I knew Tammy wasn't going to be here.
Yeah, so you gave them the,
I had already sent them the quote,
oh, okay,
and, but they wanted additional quotes.
okay. So I will let her know that, and then we'll come back. I think because the reason she looked to this particular vendor was because she'd gotten quotes last time, and
When the original
they were
project
the
was
lowest,
started.
but, so.
Yeah, I think we decided to advertise at that quote, That way, if something comes in lower, great, if not, she gets the balls moved forward.
There you go, okay, good deal. And last, I'm pretty sure, at least on the request for money. So since we've got the comprehensive plan done, the next step is to update the zoning and the subdivision ordinances. So we put out a request for proposal, we only got one back. We've got $50,000 in the lit for this comprehensive plan activities. The current proposal was $74,960. We did have some discussions with them. They're supposed to be getting a contract to us, so I don't know if that's going to be the final number or not. But
what was that number again?
Their proposal?
Yes.
74,960. And so we put out RFPs to probably 4 or 5 different companies, but and these are this is the company that did our comprehensive plan, so we know that they're good to work with, but so like I said, we did have them at the last plan commission meeting, talked about their proposal, trying to see if we could find some ways to reduce the price. They were going to go back and look at it and do a contract, but so I'm thinking the way we ended, they're probably not going to reduce it anymore, because we want to incorporate all the amendments that we've got to the existing ones. We want to update it to make sure it's up to par with all the new Indiana state standards for everything that is covered there. Adding solar and probably add wind. I'm not sure it's a big deal here, but if you're going to add one, you might as well add the other. Yeah, so that's where that is. So I just want to
How long has it been since the subdivision?
Well, you know, I mean, they initially was probably like in the early 2000s, but we've had these amendments over time that we just want to get it all up to date. So I don't know the dates on these amendments and stuff, but I can find out.
Oh, I
Once I
was
find
just
out
curious. I didn't
Sure.
know how frequent counties would look to make sure those are updated.
And there's been some discussion, you know, there's a minimum 1.72 acres for if you're going to split off something. Is that really something that we need to do? Initially it was there for septic systems. 300 foot on the road frontage, you know, is that, so looking at some of the better, different practices, I guess maybe not better practices, but just to see is that what other counties do? Is that just create some restrictions you may not need? But
it's not the type of the subject that a taxpayer or citizen or friend would normally talk to me about necessarily. As far as the development, that's not necessarily up my alley, but it's odd that in the last month that 3 different people, one came to me with a concern, which I was able to reach out and we're trying to maybe see if an additional light at the subdivision can happen. But it's that particular subdivision and 2 others, and 2 of the 3 are outside the city limits in the county. There's no pull off, and I didn't even know the right word.
Sure.
Yeah. Shoulder there.
Yes,
Shoulder.
you know, and there obviously,
Pull off lane.
yes, that Deputy Pike is one of the most dangerous intersections to turn, whether traveling north or south, and obviously you're just stopped dead in traffic on 7, where some people unfortunately have picked up their speed quickly, and there's been some horrific accidents right there. And my subdivision down that very road, down 7, has that pull off, and it's such a good half the safety measure. But the Meadows doesn't. And I just had somebody ask me again, what would it take to get one of those in front of the Meadows like you have in your subdivision? So it just came up, and I thought to myself, I thought to myself, well, and I wonder, it came up and just made me think about that with even subdivision requirements for new developments, if that's a requirement.
Sure. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, there's some things, you know, that probably, I mean, things that are probably there, but how do we highlight them a little bit more? I mean, the more and more we build, the less ground we have to soak up the water, the more flooding there's going to be, because now where's it going to go? So it's something we're going to have to make sure that maybe it was hidden somewhere, that we get it, so it's, you got to do this, because if you don't, we're just push it off on someone else. Together. I think that was it. Any questions?
I have one.
Yeah.
I had a constituent ask me about, they went out to the jail to ask about being, providing services for them. And the,
Services really quick.
well, water softener products.
Oh,
And they said that that was already taken care of, and they have a contract in the future with some other company.
okay.
So I just thought that local companies were going to get opportunities to.
Well, I mean,
Sure,
when they
yeah.
put the bids out there, or the request for bids, they try to let everyone know, but, not, obviously, you don't have a way to make sure that every single person knows. But I can check into that and see.
Okay, thank you.
See what, I wonder if they. It's interesting that they would. I could see maybe getting it set up initially, but long term, anyway.
I would think that would have to be bid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I'm be surprised they even put
That's what
that
I'm saying, I
together,
would
you know,
think it
'cause
would
I
have to
think
be bid.
when they're finished, they're gonna be like, all right, Sheriff, you gotta take care of it now, and they wouldn't. So I'm wondering if they, some confusion there.
Back, real quick, back to your point, Heather, the Seymour district, we're in the Seymour
What were we,
district.
about a year and a half?
And that's a person, or
Roughly.
perhaps you, if you live there.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure,
so you need to
by a
call
year and a half, we should be.
get an
Yeah.
engineer.
So
And
he
the
thought
other
getting
two
there a
weren't
year
even
and a
in
half
that
ahead of
area,
time
but,
would be all right, but
one is outside the city limits,
I
but,
said, nope,
yeah, you're
you're
right,
too late.
technically Jefferson, or not Jefferson Manor, that was the one.
If it's off a state.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
There's a lot of them that are like that, it's just really difficult.
Thank you.
People don't see fast.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we go to additionals and transfers. First one I got is a bunch from the health department. Immunization grant is 119-001-0215.00 for $52,835. Amount is remaining funding from the immunization grant through June 30, 2022. By appropriating the amount, the grant will be above the line item in the red and eliminate the monthly appropriation requests.
So Tammy asked if this would be a thing I would be interested in, and I said, yeah. Yeah, we would
Makes
really like
sense to
that.
me,
So this eliminates every month asking
Asking
the
for
small
us.
amounts.
I agree, with that, yeah.
particularly when
Yeah.
it's those reimbursed
Right.
dollars.
Yeah,
reimbursed
every
checks.
time.
So I'll make a motion on that
Yes, I'll
$52,835.
All in favor?
Make it a lot easier for you.
Your second one is the COVID emergency. Number 1159-001-0210.00 for $50,000. Money is received for COVID testing site grant. Money needs to be appropriated in order to balance the line item. Receipt is attached to show money has been received. And they partner with KDH to provide testing in Jefferson County. Money will be distributed to KDH for testing January 1 through June 30, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? So those will have to be advertised? Okay. Now she's got some transfers. Well, I guess these are still additionals.
And one last additional.
Okay. Furniture and equipment, 4999-001-0204.00 for $13,500. It's a state approved additional.
This is money left over from last year that
Needs to be put,
state said she could use this year.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, now we have transfers. $1,248 from furniture equipment, which is 499-001-0204.00 to environmental supplies, which is 499-001
There should be a dash.
dash 0205.00. And their second one is from furniture and equipment, $500, which is 499-001-0204.00 to vehicle maintenance, which is 499-001-0306.00.
Motion to approve.
She's got more if you want to wait for one more.
Okay, well, those two were
No,
just grouped together.
I just grouped it because
She's
they're
got
in the
grouped
same
together.
fund, but if you wanna do just one motion, then I
That's
can.
fine.
Okay.
Last one is education and training, 116-8-001-0182.00 for $1,000 to general supplies. Just 1168-001-0245.00. And environmental supplies for $1,146. 1168-01-0221.00 to travel. 1168-001-0323.00.
Transferring 1,248 to environmental supplies, but pulling 1,146 from
Back.
environmental supplies.
It's in a different fund.
One's general
It's a different
supplies
fund.
and
It's
one's
different
educational supplies.
It's different funds.
One's in, 1168, which is local health maintenance, and the other
Thank
one's
you.
local health
Thank
trust.
you.
Make motion?
Here.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Next we have additional appropriation.
This is for the ADA supplies and work that we found out after the budget process that we were supposed to be budgeting for every year. So I did not catch it, and Josh Klein happened to stop by and want to know how much was put in for this year. And this was the budget amount that he had submitted to whomever at the state actually watches over this, so.
So it's Fund 1140.
1140-001-0112.00, and I created that line last year when we had the ADA complaint and we did the work.
Okay, it's for $8,000. Can I make motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? And the last one, the resolution, is it's authorizing a temporary loan and transfer funds. This is to bolster our general
Yes.
fund.
From the best, we did 1.5 million last year. That was more than enough, and I recommend that we do 1.25 this time. And we are slowly decreasing that amount needed.
Then when we make the adjustment to the Coon Courthouse percentage, move it into that'll help straighten it even further.
Okay, the resolution reads, whereas Jefferson County is experiencing shortfall in cash flow and funding, and whereas Jefferson County does not expect its final tax draw until June of 2022, and whereas Jefferson County has a financial obligation that must be met, and the county general fund does not have the adequate funding to pay the county obligations until tax roll is received, and whereas Jefferson County has other sufficient funds on deposit which can be temporarily deposited in the county general fund, which Jefferson County can use to pay its financial obligation, and whereas pursuant to IC 36-1-8-4, the county council hereby authorizes transfer of money between funds. Now therefore is it resolved that Jefferson County hereby authorizes a temporary loan and transfer of funds of the amount of $1,250,000, the following designated funds to the county general fund. Said funds are to be repaid by December 31st, 2022.
Make a motion for 1.25 million to be transferred from Coon Courthouse to County General, to be repaid to Coon Courthouse no later than December 31st, 2022.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor? That's all we have here, right?
Yep.
Last thing on the agenda would be board appointments.
Got the first one there.
County Corrections, Bruce Shelton, since 2019. Good with that, or would you like
I'd be willing to continue to serve, or somebody else would be interested in that. I'd be willing to move as well, so. Nobody has an interest, I'll continue to serve on that board.
Should we make motions, or
Probably should just for formality.
I'll make a motion that Chris continues on community corrections.
I'll second.
All in favor? Pauper attorney, Heather Foy, been since 2019.
And I actually can't, I have one more year, there's state statutes, so after next year, I'm happy to serve again this year, but I actually would not. I take that back, technically the board can reappoint me on for another 3 years, but the public defender board, the public attorney board can. And then you all certainly could give that stamp of approval, but I may have to go off after this year, if they don't want me back. Unless somebody else really
But you will
wants to
serve
jump in.
this time,
I'm
yes.
happy to serve again. We made a lot of progress this last year, a lot
I
of
think
good
she had,
things.
I move that she stays on that, Pauper attorney.
Second.
Oh,
All in favor? Third one is tourism, Gary Copeland, just, it's been only a year now.
Be happy to do it again.
And technically that, is it the, no, that's the, never mind, that's not the Visit Madison board, that's the Jefferson County Tourism Board, never mind, sorry. Good.
Well, I'm on DMI. Is this what we're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tourism, yes.
yeah.
Have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Southeastern Region, our Southeast Regional Planning Commission, Judy Smith's been there since 2020.
And I'm willing to serve again. In fact, I have a meeting tomorrow. It's, like you put sales for most of the meetings and everything, and it's, since I'm not, don't go to work every day, why, it works out really good, and we've got several things going, and Erica, Klein, yeah, she's on for the commissioners, and so there's some things that are coming down the pipe, so I would like to go ahead and stay for this year.
Make a motion to retain Judy on the Southeast
Second.
Regional
Second.
Planning Commission.
All in favor?
They're meeting quarterly still?
They meet quarterly, we can go to monthly, but the quarterly ones is where I'm supposed to go to now.
Next one's the animal shelter, I'm on it. Willing to continue?
I'll make a motion that Ray's doing a good job with his day on the animal
I'll
shelter.
second that.
All in favor? EMA board, Judy Smith's been there just this year.
I'm willing to stay on the board.
Okay. Have a motion?
So moved.
So moved. Second.
All in favor? 911, Pam Crozier's been there just this year.
I would like to step away. Ray, I nominate Ray Black.
I'll make the motion on that.
Second that.
Or second.
Okay.
Sorry.
All in favor?
Is Ray okay with that?
Yeah.
Planning Commission.
Yeah, I wanted to get on the committee anyway.
We kinda
I've
talked
been,
about
I've been
getting
goofing off the last year.
I don't think so.
somewhere. I said I would jump off if nobody jumped off the board.
Planning Commission, I've been on that for at least 4 years. If anybody wants it, they can have it.
What's involved in that?
It's the first Tuesday of every month. Just basically go over different zoning issues.
How's that work with the city? They have their own,
It's just a county thing.
okay.
How many people are on that county planning commission? I forget.
I think there's 7 of us. You learn a little bit.
I served on it several years ago, probably 12 years ago now, but I'd be willing to serve again if nobody's interested, or Ray, if you're interested.
Huh?
I said, or if you're interested.
I might be interested in that.
Motion?
Motion, Ray.
I'll second.
All in favor? Public Defender.
And that's the same thing as the
That's
public
the same
attorney.
as
Technically,
public attorney,
okay.
it's the state, it's labeled as public defender, so,
Okay,
I mean, that would just be a duplicate.
okay.
Southeastern Indiana Soil and Water. Pam's been on there for 2 years.
I'll stay.
Okay.
We just actually appointed that last meeting, I
I
think.
think, yeah, we
Yeah.
talked about it, yeah, the last
Okay.
meeting, yeah.
Then we're done. Motion to adjourn? Oh,
Your
yes, you got it.
first one up here at the top, and Dave sent me an email last week and asked if we would, the Board of Tourism for our appointment for Wendy.
Oh, Wendy?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We make a
We'll
motion?
do the insurance one, didn't we?
for Wendy
I'll make
Lawson?
I make a motion to appoint Wendy Lawson for another term to represent us on the Board of Tourism. She's willing to represent us, and she's been doing a good job, so she's willing to continue that.
I'll second.
All in favor? Okay.
I'll just
Sorry,
reply
I
back
just-
to his
I
email.
just
That's
went-
okay.
Go ahead.
I tried to,
Ray, you missed the insurance one.
oh, yes,
Heather was on
yep,
that one.
Heather's on the
Yeah,
insurance.
I'm glad you're looking out for me. Okay. Insurance then, Heather's been on there a couple of years.
And if somebody, I'm happy to serve again if somebody else, we do meet frequently, at least once a month. I might say most months, once a month, but with any changes and there's occasionally it's more than once a month. I'm happy to serve again unless somebody really wants to.
I nominate Heather.
I'll second.
All in favor? Motion carries. Anything else?
Congratulations on you and Judy, President, Vice President.
Thanks, sir.
I think you all possibly got this today, yesterday or today, it's on the Hello Commissioners and County Council, and it's they're working on, and that goes along with my Southeastern Indiana thing on the Indiana broadband and the stuff and the things and so forth, so I'm willing to put my name, go ahead and serve on that. It came today, actually, yesterday morning.
Who would have been this one?
It was The person that sent this was from the Southeastern Indiana Regional Planning Commission, and she's the one that gave us our program the other night, that night we went to about the broadband.
I did not get that email.
Rudder, yeah, and everybody was invited to it, Gary went, and Ray went, and I went.
We would probably, I'd like to see that actually. Can somebody forward that to us?
Yeah, I'll forward it to you.
Oh, thank
Oh,
you.
okay, because I was going, well, you should have it was sent,
I did not get the email. I'm on it right now.
okay.
It was a while back, wasn't it, or is that?
Yeah.
a-
No, that's the one that was just
One
sent today,
sent
that was
today.
just sent today.
There yesterday, yeah.
Maybe she just sent it to the ones that had been there that night, had went to the meeting that night, so, because Ray was there and
Here.
yeah,
She sent it at 9:05 this morning.
Yeah.
To Ray, and
yeah, and I got it. But
Okay,
I mean,
I've
if
got it
somebody
now,
else
Chris,
wants to
thank you.
serve, that's fine. I'm just saying that since that kind of coordinates with the same, what I'm already on, then I'll be glad to.
Well, we got a motion then?
Motion to
I'll second it.
All
And
in
this-
favor?
dismiss.
This is for Judy, just to clarify, this is for Judy to serve on the broadband task force
Task
representing
force,
Jefferson
yeah,
County, which
yeah.
obviously is in
Oh,
collaboration
okay.
with.
They just want several people.
Okay,
They
yeah,
never
I'm
want
interested
people
in
on
that.
it, yes.
Yeah, I'm
With it.
totally fine with that as well.
Yeah, and I think Erica would be
Anxious
on
to
it
see,
also
yeah,
as a
And
from
go
the commissioner.
move
So,
forward
yeah.
there.
So, yeah.
Ms. Gulay,
We
we have
need
a
to
motion
sign
to
this.
adjourn.
I did.
And you'll need to sign these before you leave, Ray.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.